Welcome, everybody. Let's give a big Cornerstone welcome to our new friend and colleague, Amber Dotson of HealthSherpa. She'll be running through their tips and tricks for 2022. They're the Rolls-Royce of enrollment platforms. Everybody should be using HealthSherpa, in my view. I'm a little biased, but I think that's the case. But here is your public service announcement from Cornerstone. If you have a question, put it in the question box. We're going to monitor these through the presentation, make sure everything is hunky-dory. Here we are. Eric and I are here at the ready. Say hello, Eric.
Good morning, everybody.
Great. Email addresses, phone numbers right there. We are your individual experts. Together, we have 20 years of experience in the individual market, and we cover Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, and this is our jam. So this is the 9th year, the 9th OEP, believe it or not, for the ACA, and we're going to get you rocking and rolling. Let's talk about agency services. As a Cornerstone broker, you have access to a myriad of services that can help you with your business outside your scope and planning for the future. The ASP is designed to help you plan for your business, your clients, and your family, no matter the situation. And among the services provided in ASP are the parachute succession plan, the flight plan retirement assistance, and the co-pilot service agreements. And as an ASP broker, you're the pilot of your business and your flight crew. We create a customized plan based on your specific needs to ensure that you, your business, and your family are covered. Never miss a webinar. Easy for me to say, never miss a webinar. I can't stress enough. Go to our website, go to the resources page, and you'll see all of the webinars, the past webinars out there. Generally, these are in a PowerPoint presentation. So if you don't want to listen to me flap my jaws, you can just turn the volume off and just flip through the screens. What's more, you can look at carrier, you can look at sales training and techniques and other resources throughout this resource page. We've also got an area dedicated to group. And Amber's on the line, and I'm going to seamlessly transition to her deck, and we'll get started. So, hi. Amber, can you see your deck now?
I sure can, yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic.
So, Jeff, thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, Eric is cool. Going to help me a little bit. Eric, can you? Excellent, okay. That looks pretty good. Will that suffice?
That works great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys for letting me join today. I'm excited to get to present to you today. So thank you for joining today's HealthSherpa training. So again, my name is Amber Dotson. As Jeff mentioned, I'm coming to you for today from Atlanta, Georgia. So I am an agency account manager here at HealthSherpa. We do have a pretty packed agenda, but any questions that you have throughout the presentation, like Jeff mentioned, please just go ahead and post them into the chat so that we can be sure to follow up even if we don't get to them for you along the way today. So today we're going to talk mostly about, throughout our agenda, really what HealthSherpa is, what we do, how we do it. We'll discuss the benefits of EDE. I know Jeff mentioned, he's sold, I'm sold, obviously, but our goal is to obviously help your lives get a little easier. So we want to sell you on those benefits as well, and really what that means. So we'll take a dive into the agent platform. We'll look at how plan selection works, so you'll know what to expect. And we'll also take a look at a lot of our unique post-enrollment tools within the platform. These are super nice to help you manage effectuations. And then we'll also take a look at our bonus programs. We'll also discuss a feature called Npn Override. And then we'll take a rundown of the client self-enrollment view just so you have an idea before we finish up and talk about some of the resources that you have available. So who is HealthSherpa? Put simply, HealthSherpa is an enrollment platform. We are built to make consumers and agents' lives easier. I also have a sales background in health insurance, so believe me when I say I feel a lot of your pain points from other platforms. Because we have the most advanced enrollment tech in the market, nationally, HealthSherpa is the largest enrollment platform after healthcare.gov. So in support of our overall mission, which is to help every American feel the comfort and security of actually having health coverage, we ensure that our enrollment products continue to evolve. So to do that, we really listen to the needs of our agents, to you, to our agencies, to Cornerstone, and to our consumers, and then we kind of gauge what new innovations might be necessary to really meet those needs. We'll talk more about something called Enhanced Direct Enrollment in a minute, but HealthSherpa was the first approved entity to go live with that technology, meaning we've been at it the longest. So it's not just that our platform makes it easier to shop, enroll, and manage ACA clients, but we've had the most time to build it, hone it, break it, and make sure we're actually able to help you and your consumers navigate the steps needed along the way. So these stats, I mentioned already that HealthSherpa is the largest enrollment platform after healthcare.gov, but to dig into that a bit deeper, we actually have a 43% market share, meaning just about all of the applications going through healthcare.gov are actually enrolling through HealthSherpa. So to put that into context, 40% of the remaining market share actually is healthcare.gov, meaning that all of our other competitors combined, they actually account for less than 15% of the remaining applications. So the efficiencies available within the HealthSherpa platform, combined with our ability to cut application time to an average of only 8 minutes, means that you can be way more effective and engage with a higher volume of customers, not only during OEP, but throughout the year. So EDE. EDE stands for Enhanced Direct Enrollment, which is a CMS technology. EDE allows HealthSherpa to fully integrate with healthcare.gov to submit applications without being redirected to healthcare.gov. This allows you, as I mentioned previously, to complete an application in only 8 minutes compared to the good gracious 30+ minutes on healthcare.gov oftentimes. With HealthSherpa's faster and easier alternative to healthcare.gov, you'll have the leading edge technology that you need to really maximize your marketplace experience. An important detail about EDE is that not all the EDEs are created equally. You'll notice some examples listed here of certain household circumstances that became possible as HealthSherpa's EDE capabilities evolved. Some EDEs entities, they might say that they offer EDE, but they might not actually support all of these types of household circumstances. So because we were the first platform to go live with this tech, we've had time to evolve our technology. So now that we're able to operate in phase 3 of EDE, we can support 100% of household circumstances. So the fact that you really can do everything within HealthSherpa is pretty unique. So with EDE, you can, there you go, perfect. So using HealthSherpa's EDE, agents can actually complete their applications directly on HealthSherpa. They can enjoy higher client effectuation, which we'll go over in a second, utilizing features like document management, direct payment links. You can save time with a lot of pre-filled renewals. You can view status updates and documents requested from the marketplace. You can even view and print certain documents like 1095A forms for your customers, eligibility letters, marketplace notices, the works. So we'll go over some of those. Now, in order to take advantage of all these awesome perks, the first thing that you need to do is actually turn on EDE in your account. So when you open up your account for the first time, you'll see a little Enable EDE button at the top. One thing to note, if you recently got certified with the marketplace or changed your password or just anything like that, it may take some time for that Enable EDE option to appear. So no need to worry there. Excuse me, once you see that button, you'll simply click it and it'll have you go through a little identity verification step in order to be able to access the consumer information. So if EDE is not enabled, as some of you may have it right now, you'll notice it's just going to be a lot clunkier of a process. The client application is going to have you go through the double redirect process, meaning you'll start on HealthSherpa, then you'll get bopped over to healthcare.gov to complete the long application version, and then you'll come back to HealthSherpa to actually pick a plan. So again, it's just a bit clunkier. And a lot of things don't update automatically for you if you don't do that. So if you don't see Enable EDE at the top of your account when you log in, don't panic. You likely just already enabled it. So good job. Okay, so we can dive into the platform overview. So when you first log into HealthSherpa platform, you will land here on your dashboard. So these shots were taken from a staged environment, so your view may look just a tiny bit different, but one really important thing to notice, any client information that we see today on any of these slides is all just totally made up information. So no worries there, it's just for the purposes of our learning. So at the top, you would have a little logo. So if you update your logo, which we'll review in a bit, it'll appear here. You'll also see your name and your NPN. And then over here on the right, you would have some links at the top. You'll notice there's a start application, search marketplace, a quote, the little question mark with the circle around it, and the settings icon. So let's start with the two right there, kind of in the middle, the start application and search marketplace. So on the next slide, we'll take a look at that start application button. So start application and search marketplace are virtually the same. Whether you want to start a new application or you want to search for an existing one, the platform is still going to prompt you to search for the client on the marketplace. So if you take a look at the next slide, the start application view is, if you're actually an EDE enabled agent, the nice thing is rather than having to go through an identity proofing step through healthcare.gov every time, if you want to search for a client, all you have to do is check this little I've received permission from the consumer box, and you'll be able to search. On the next slide, you'll see our search results. So if you do search from this page and then you just don't find anybody, you would just click the Create New Application button. If you search and do locate a marketplace application, you can do what we like to call a search and claim. You would just import the application to your HealthSherpa dashboard. So basically the platform will add the client to your leads tab, which we'll review momentarily, so that all of your applications can still just remain in one place. It is important to note before we move forward, adding a client to your dashboard does not automatically make you the agent of record. You would still need to actually complete the application for that to happen. Okay, so on our next slide, the search marketplace button, you'll notice if we were to select that second option of search marketplace at the top instead of start application, the view here is super similar. The search result options are the same as well. So on the next slide, let's take a look at our quoting button, so broker quoting. Within HealthSherpa, we have a really nice quoting tool that actually allows you to start an application there as well. So the quoter tool and any applications on HealthSherpa are dynamic too, meaning that depending on your answers to questions, additional questions may appear or be removed to help you save time. So for example, if you were to toggle this gender field from male to female, you would notice that the pregnancy question appears and disappears depending on which gender you select. So obviously this is just one example, excuse me, but you'll notice dynamic questions like this exist throughout the application, again, just really helping you save time. On the next slide, you'll see our little eligibility estimator. So once you were on that quoting page to enter in someone's demographic info, on this page, you'll see that there's an eligibility calculation that appears, which gives you a rough estimate of what the client could save monthly. It also, on the right, if they are CSR eligible, it will call that out as well. Obviously, with everything going on right now with a lot of the new bills that are going through, or at least proposed, that'll be a really important thing to note for a lot of your clients. Of course, these are just an estimate, but this is just a really nice feature if your client wants to shop prior to formally applying for a subsidy. Sometimes the results will, when this occurs, there will typically be information on next steps if the customer is outside of FPL. So if you need to pursue options like Medicaid or CHIP or contacting a nonprofit health center, et cetera, for just other health alternatives to help that customer, we do typically list those here as well, just to help save you a step. On our next slide, the plan results. So if you were to scroll down on this plan results slide, you see that the plan results will populate, right? So again, it was just we hit the quote button, then we got our eligibility estimates, and now we view the plan results. We'll talk more in detail about these filters available here, but if your client wanted to go ahead and even just pick this first plan, you would just choose add to cart. And then once you do that, you would have the policy just pop into your cart. So if you wanted to, you could just continue shopping. You could swap the original health plan in your cart with another. You could add dental if you'd like. And then when ready, you can actually start the application. So it's nice that whichever button you start on, the Start Application, Search Marketplace, or the Quote button, you're going to have the option to start an application. The main thing to remember is that the Quote button lets you go ahead and view plans up front with just the estimated subsidy applied and potential CSR, and then you would actually complete the application to view final eligibility, select a plan, etc. Whereas the Start and Search options skip that preliminary upfront plan comparison with the estimates applied. They just have you go ahead and begin with the application, then view the eligibility and select a plan. So let's walk through these tabs on the left side of your dashboard so that you get an idea. The first tab here is your Clients tab. So this is where your completed applications will go. So if you start an application for your client, but you don't see them here in your Clients tab, they may not have actually finished their application. So they would still be located in your Leads tab, which we'll review momentarily. If you're trying to effectuate a policy, you'll really want to make sure you see your enrollee here in the Clients tab. At the top, you'll see this little spyglass here, and this will allow you to search your book of business. So if you were to type in your client's name, the page would just filter and bring all relevant clients to the top of the page. So you can really search quickly rather than having to scroll through each individual page. And then also along the top here, you have some filter options. You can see that you have the ability to filter by specific carrier, a client's name, the status of documents or the status of payments. A quick note also regarding the status of documents and payments. On HealthSherpa, since our information comes from the marketplace, there can sometimes be a delay while these are actually being processed. They are real-time updates now, which is super nice, but documents are reviewed by a third party, which is ordained by CMS. So once you submit a document for a client, it can take time for that third party to actually review it. Payments, likewise, are actually sent to the carrier. So until the carrier sends notification to the marketplace, it may just still show as action needed here, despite already having been paid. So just something to keep in mind. If you know you've made a payment or submitted a document and it's not totally reflected as submitted or accepted or whatever here, don't panic. Just keep it in mind. Another filter you see here is the archive feature. So if you're not servicing a client anymore, or maybe you accidentally created a duplicate record, you can just simply archive their applications. And if you do so, you would just later toggle that little archive toggle over to yes to view any applications you've archived. So it's a nice way to clean up your view and keep it kind of current and active. Staying on this slide, jumping into the client section where you see the actual client names, you'll see a little renewal email button right above that. So if you selected the first Roberto Hill or the second Roberto Hill or the third Amy Santiago, right? You can just select one client or multiple clients if you'd like, and you would have the option to send them a renewal email during OEP so that they can go ahead and just get that policy renewed for the new year. This feature typically allows utilization up to 2 to 3 times a week. So often agents prefer to select multiple clients when sending out this renewal reminder so that they're able to send clients maybe multiple touch points in a week. The link clients receive in the renewal email does have your NPN embedded. So there's no need to worry. You would remain the AOR when the client submits their renewal using your link. And the renewal applications are pre-filled, which is another huge time save. So whether you're doing your renewal app or the client is, that's a big deal, right? You don't have to keep rekeying the same information that you've already submitted. The export button on the right-hand side of this view allows you to receive a file with all of your client information just fixed into an Excel worksheet. Any notes that you were to put in their client file are also included here, which is super helpful. It's a really unique feature as it can be difficult to get a view of this if you're just going through healthcare.gov. Typically, you would have to click on each client to get that. So there is a legend available as well for the export to help you just understand what each column header is. what it's trying to share with you. That's just located on our FAQ page. So you can always just search for export legend to make sure you have the latest and greatest explanation. Still on this page, if you're new to HealthSherpa or you have a client that you're bringing into HealthSherpa for the first time, you can also use the little import button, which is next to export, to bring the clients into your dashboard. So you would simply download the template. There's some pretty specific instructions listed next to it. You would just follow those, and then you would import your document. And then to actually view a client's entry, you would just either click their name. So I could click on Roberto Hill or Amy. You could do that over there. Or in the actions column, there's a couple little drop-down menu options, and you can just select them there as well. Okay, I know we covered a lot. Any questions before we move on? I'm going to open the chat. Nope, so far
so good. We're also looking into the questions box. Nothing so far, but by all means, questions and comments. Anything you have, just let us know, and we'll forge ahead. Thank you, Amber.
Perfect. Absolutely. So our leads tab. So as I mentioned earlier, leads are for applications that have either been started but not submitted for one reason or another. Maybe you've generated a quote. There are two ways within HealthSherpa that you can generate a lead. So the agent themselves can go in and start an application. If you save your progress in the middle of the app, the client will appear here and there will be a resume option, which you'll see here on the right-hand side. The other way a lead can be generated is if the client uses, which we'll review momentarily, your unique marketing URL. If the client on their side starts the application on their own using your URL and they just don't quite finish it, they would also appear here in your leads tab so that you can just pick up right where they left off. It's an easy way you can just follow up with them, etc. And you'll see a lot of the same filtering options here that we had on the clients tab. It's just kind of a little shorter. If you were to select a client's name, it'll show you the lead. It'll actually show you where they are currently within the application process, and it'll give you the option to resume. So whether the client starts an application or the agent starts an application, you, the agent, will always be able to just come in here and resume for them by simply going to your leads tab. This comes in really handy at the top of OEP2 when window shopping opens, which we're hoping for any day now. A lot of agents really like to go ahead and reach out to their book of business, discuss any updated needs to the clients, or with the clients rather, and then go ahead and get some of that shopping out of the way. Then once OEP actually opens, the application simply just needs to be submitted. So it's a really nice way to efficiently manage your time to ensure you're left with time to actually grow your business during OEP. The next tab we'll review is our Insights tab. So our Insights tab is nice. It just kind of gives you a high-level overview regarding your progress within HealthSherpa. How many applications you've done, all the work you've done. You can see month by month how many leads you have, how many applications you've submitted, the average plan premium, the total annual premium. And let's say you just wanted to monitor your progress within a specific time frame. If you wanted to look at, let's say, all the work you've done just within 2021, you would just adjust the fields there, the date fields, the from. You would change them from 9/15/20, 9/15/2021. You would just change those to whatever you want. And your view will automatically adjust just to show you data from the dates you've entered. So again, it's just a nice way to get a look at the progress you've been making within HealthSherpa. Let's take a look at our next tab, the Bonuses tab. We'll dive more into these exact bonuses program, the bonuses programs available here within HealthSherpa momentarily, but both of our referral programs, the referral program and our associates program, live here under the bonuses tab. So that's the main takeaway from this slide right now, and we'll dive into this slide all by itself momentarily. The next slide, the next tab rather, is your marketing tab. This one is especially important. This is my personal favorite. It's a really awesome feature. We offer it to every agent, so it's right here. It's actually your direct link that offers your own unique website on HealthSherpa. So before, when we were talking about two ways to generate a lead, and we said, oh yeah, if the customer just clicks on your link, we're talking about this link. The cool thing about this unique website is that if you offer this to a client and then they just do their enrollment from your website, so you can bop this into your email signature if you want to, it's going to attach your NPN to the enrollment for carriers you're appointed with and submit the apps as referral for you for carriers you're not appointed with, all while just saving you time since you don't actually have to complete the application yourself. You have a lot of like cool personalization options available here as well. So if you want to change your name or your phone number, the color of the page, or just the photo that appears on the main page, you can just select that from on this page. So you can do that. Oh, pardon me. Apparently there's a timer. Sorry about that. Sometimes I think Google sets timers for me that I don't know about. So if you want to adjust any of these, you can do that. And all of the updates that you make on your unique link, they're all live. So it's a nice way to give your personal homepage a bit of customization. Lastly, too, this final option on this same tab is for Google Analytics. If you haven't heard about Google Analytics, I do recommend you check it out on Google. It's an awesome program. It monitors traffic on your website, so it can tell you which devices are being used, where customers are clicking, how long they're on a page, etc. And you can just create a Google Analytics account and just pop your link into this section here on the tab down at the bottom, and it will monitor those for you and make sure that they sync up. So check out that feature on Google if that's something you're interested in. So again, any customization changes you make on this page will automatically save to anyone who uses your link. No need to send out a fresh one each time. Just keep in mind, if you do decide to actually edit your link down the road, see the little edit button under your direct link. If you do that, then you would need to send out a fresh version. It would obviously break any prior links that you had sent. Okay, our next tab is the Settings tab. This tab is extremely important. So if I've lost you at all, or you're feeling a little sleepy, just wiggle around, wake up a little bit. These are the account settings. These settings are important because it's information provided by you in order to make your account work on HealthSherpa. The first thing here is going to be your login information. So if you need to change your email address or password on HealthSherpa, you can do that here. Just remember that your email address is your username for HealthSherpa. So you'll need to use the new email address next time you log in. The two-factor authentication option here is something CMS has been really supportive of since we've rolled it out. It just helps you set up an additional layer of security when logging into your account. So if you have it enabled, you can opt to receive a text message or use an authenticator app when you're logging in, either of which will give you just a temporary code to enter. Again, just an extra layer of security. CMS does not require that you enable that. It's just recommended to protect against any unauthorized logins. Still on our settings tab is the Ffm Account section. So this will reflect the data that you entered when you created the account. So if you kind of rush through the initial setup, or you just know that you fat fingered some of it, you'll definitely want to verify this section. You will see your first name, last name, your NPN, your FFM username, which some people know as your CMS login username. It's the same thing. It's really important that this FFM username field is accurate, because that's what allows us to push applications over to healthcare.gov on your behalf. If that's incorrectly keyed or it doesn't match, then you'll have trouble searching, completing changes, all of it, right? So if you ever have trouble getting in, you can also click, there's a little link here. It just goes to the CMS portal directly. It's right under the FFM username section. So if you ever need to visit there, you can. On the next slide, you'll also see, now you may already have one of these for Cornerstone. If you're a downline agent and your agency has created an agency on HealthSherpa, like Cornerstone has, you may be given what's called a join code, which you would also be able to put here under your settings tab, and you'll become part of their agency. Otherwise, you can just fill out these fields and create your own agency if you want to. On the next slide, we'll take a look at some of our post-enrollment tools. So taking a little bit of a deeper dive into this, these are the tools that will help you keep your enrollments on track to actually effectuate. Obviously, that is a very important part of your whole job, right? That's a big part of your day. Getting clients in the right plans, but also ensuring that they actually effectuate those policies. So once you're on a client's page, Again, so we'd be on the Clients tab when we're looking at this. You'll notice that you have several effectuation tools available to you. And to get to this page too, for example, we would have clicked on one of those client names and then we would land on this page, right? So this is the next page after that original client page tab we're looking at. So at the top of your page, these quick action buttons, if you need to report a life change or assist the customer in changing plans, obviously the change plan button is only going to appear if the client is within their window to take that action. You'll also notice the follow-up section here. So after you submit an application, if a client has follow-ups, those are all going to be listed right here. Your client can go in and take care of these themselves. At the end of their application, they're going to be invited to set up a consumer dashboard, which looks really similar to your view here. So they can take care of those tasks by themselves, or you can assist them just by coming to this page. You'll simply select the Verify button, and it'll give you the option to submit follow-up documents. Once an application's actually been processed, a little Pay Now button will appear here also for the customer to pay their binder payment. And if your client hasn't updated their marketplace application since ARPA took effect, you may also see this nice little green reminder box down at the bottom. It would actually be at the top of the page, and it would just let you know, hey, they might be eligible for additional subsidy dollars. Again, keep in mind down the road, depending on what passes in the government and what doesn't pass, subsidies and eligibility for CSR may continue to adjust. So you may want to let them know that as well. On the next page for document management, this is the view you're going to see after you select the Verify button. So notice that the follow-up item name carries over to this view as well. So if you forget which Verify button you selected, no problem. You can just see that information here. And on this Verify page, you can identify the type of document you're uploading. You can actually upload the document, and you can view a list of acceptable documents for this particular follow-up item, which is really handy. A lot of times the marketplace kind of changes their mind on certain things that they'll accept, that they won't accept. Their needs evolve as well, right? So we try and keep this list up to date for you to cut out the middleman there for you. On the next page, back on your clients page, if you just scroll down to the next effectuation tool within that original view, you would see an overview of the client's info here. So you're going to see the members in the policy, their contact info. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and this is perfect. And their status. So you'll typically see an option here as well to report a change if you need to. On our next slide, still on that Clients tab, you would just continue scrolling down on the Clients tab to get to this slide. You would see their coverage box, and this contains information on their active coverage. So if the client is still within their enrollment period, you would also see a change plan and cancel button here. You'll notice that if you do select the cancel plan option, you would receive a little confirmation pop-up. So if you accidentally hit that button initially, no worries, you can just close out of the pop-up window, no harm done. On the next slide would be further down on the client section. You would see the application history. So the last 2 years of applications typically appear here. And then as documents become available, like that 1095A, for example, those would appear here too. Let's talk about these marketplace notices at the bottom of the slide. So above we talked about in the follow-up section, we saw that any follow-up documents are required. They would just be noted there, right? But let's say that when you upload a document for whatever reason, maybe it was blurry or something, it just wasn't accepted by the marketplace. The item status in the follow-up section would change to insufficient. And then you would also receive in this marketplace notice section, a notice from the marketplace actually explaining why the document was insufficient. So what I recommend is to always look at both of those just to make sure whatever the follow-up items are that you need to submit can get taken care of quickly for you. On the next slide, you'll see our notes section. So this is again still in your client's view. You can take notes. This is something we kind of touched on before, but the awesome part about this is that your notes are going to be excluded in your export report. So let's say your client, you reach out this OEP and they say, oh, actually, I'm going to be losing my group and my customers, my cousin or whoever is going to be losing their, coverage in February. If you could follow up with me then. Great, pop it into your notes, and then when you get that in your export, you can take a look at that, and that way you're not calling them unnecessarily as well. So now we get into the good stuff. So our HealthSherpa bonus program. So here at HealthSherpa, located within that bonuses tab that we took a look at, we have a couple different ways you as an agent can earn additional money. So we talked about there being a couple different ways, right? So you see here, this first little program is our referrals program. 2 tabs over is our associates program, which we'll review in a moment. We created this first program, the referrals program, because we found that clients weren't getting serviced by agents fully because agents weren't always appointed with specific carriers. So here at HealthSherpa, we know that getting appointed is not always a sure thing. Some carriers require exclusivity, there can be certain requirements, and it's just not always guaranteed that the agent can get the appointment that you want. So in order to help our consumers, because again, our mission here at HealthSherpa is to ensure customers can get health coverage regardless of the situation, we made the referral program. A really important detail to note is in order to participate in the referral program, you do still need to be licensed in the state where the application is being submitted. So you can still only work in licensed states. Any other states, you would not be able to do a referral application. During SEP season, all referrals typically get like a $50, $75 fee. There are certain carriers that maybe less, like $25, which we detail right here in the platform. On the next slide, we'll talk about how to actually participate in the referral program. So you can either opt in when you first see the prompt during your account creation, or you can just come to this tab later and simply select on. Super simple. On the next tab, you'll see what happens once you do select on. You'll see this little joint marketing agreement. You'll read to agree and then select that you accept. And then once you turn on the referral settings, any application that you do for a carrier that you're not appointed with, HealthSherpa will pay you that referral fee. One other really nice feature to point out here is that once you start earning money from our referrals program, you'll see like a little yellow box appear here. It's basically just letting you know, hey, we need you to submit a W-9 in order to get paid. Do keep in mind that you'll want to check with the agency or office that referred you here today, Cornerstone, just to make sure that you're allowed to get paid. Some agencies prefer to get paid on your behalf and then divvy it out that way. So whatever works best for you. On the next page, once you begin submitting referrals, you can actually track them here too on your bonuses dashboard, which is super convenient. One note, I know we talked about during SEP, it's usually 50 to 75 for a referral. During OEP season, it goes way up. It's usually like 100 to 150, depending on the carrier that you're referring. So keep that in mind. On the next tab, on the next slide, we'll take a look at the second program we wanted to look at here, our associates program. The associates program is really an agent-to-agent word-of-mouth referral program. Jeff, I think you mentioned this earlier in our conversation. So if an agent signs up for HealthSherpa using your unique link here, they will become your associate. So you can see you have a custom associate link. You won't have access to each other's accounts or anything like that. You'll just be associates in name. They'll have the exact same HealthSherpa platform experience that you have, but each time they submit a referral application, in addition to whatever we're going to pay them for the referral, we will pay you $10. So similar to the referral program, you'll also be able to track your associate payments down below. So anytime an associate submits a referral application, your bonus associate payments would just appear here for tracking. So again, it's just a nice, easy way to earn extra dollars just for spreading the word about HealthSherpa. Okay. Then our settings. Before we keep going, let me just check the questions in the chats. So far, so good. Okay. All right, so now that we've reviewed all of the tabs and the features within each, let's move back up to the top right-hand portion of the dashboard and we'll take a look at the other area here. One of these icons we mentioned earlier, the settings icon. It's a little gear icon on the right. So on the next page, the settings icon is the one, oh, actually, I'm so sorry, Jeff, one slide up. That was my mistake. Thank you, sir. So the settings icon, like we mentioned, is the one that looks like the gear. If you hover over the settings icon, you'll see the little carrier menu option. This is really important. You always want to check this area frequently to ensure that your carrier appointments are actually correct, or you can just adjust the settings if you need to. So now on the next page, Jeff, thank you for that. The carrier page is going to show you any current states that we have you listed as being licensed in, as well as current carriers that we have you listed as being appointed with. This is the information we use to push the application over with either you as the agent of record or to push the application over as a referral. So all of this information comes from you. It's really important to check this page regularly, as we mentioned. And if you need to make edits to this page, super simple. You would just click on the little Edit Appointments button on the top right corner. On the next slide, you'll see what that view looks like. The Edit Appointments button is going to bring you right here to this page where you can edit your licenses by state. So you can just add states in the little drop-down menu or click the little X next to the state name to remove it. Or you can adjust your carrier appointments by just checking the box for any carrier that you know you're appointed with. And if you're appointed with a carrier, we'll apply your NPN to the enrollment, therefore making you eligible for commissions, just like you normally would be. And if you're not appointed with the carrier, HealthSherpa's NPN will be attached to the enrollment. So recall that if you have turned on that referral feature in the bonuses tab, you would be eligible for all those referral payouts in those instances. And you can simply select your referral carriers here as well, as you can see. So if you're ever unsure, just reach out to the carrier to confirm your appointment status. But it's really important that everyone has this information listed here correctly so that you're not accidentally submitting a referral when you didn't mean to and vice versa. Okay. The next section is plan selection. So we're going to take a deeper dive into that shopping page that we took a look at when we were going over our quote button. So this is where you're going to end up after completing the subsidy application, as well as when you're selecting the quote button. Completing the subsidy application first just means you're going to see the customer's actual subsidy applied instead of estimated figures. So you're going to utilize this page a ton. So this is our shopping page. Providers, let's dig into these filters a bit. If you'd like to add any specific providers, you can do that here. There's actually a little directory search, so you can just start keying in the name of the provider and add them. You would actually see whether the providers you would enter accept each plan back on the main shopping page too, if you do choose any to add. So you would just check the little box by your provider's name, and the shopping page will actually only show you plans that your provider accepts if you toggle that box. Or you can just view all the plans. So it depends on what your customer's needs are, right? If they say, no, I really have to go to Dr. Curtis, great, toggle the box. If they say, oh, I'm kind of flexible, but it would be nice if she took the plan, great, don't toggle the box. Either way, you'll see on the right-hand side, our shopping page will tell you doesn't take the plan or takes the plan. So really nice feature there. On the next slide, you'll see it's really similar for prescriptions. So now you can add medications if there's any prescription that your client takes or is just curious about. But what you're going to do is you'll just start keying in the name of the drug and the whole formulary list will populate. Once you select your medication name, multiple dosage options will appear. That's a really nice feature too. That way you don't have to remember to ask, hey, do you get this filled every 3 months or every year? You have to fill it in. So you can kind of have that nice reminder there for you. Once you select your medication name and the dosage, then back on the main shopping page, similar to the providers, here on our right-hand side, you'd see any medications that you've entered listed under each plan. It'll let you know exactly which plans do cover and which ones don't. And if you only want to see plans that cover the medications similar to the providers, you would just toggle the box. If it's just a nice to know, you would leave the box untoggled. On the next page, you're going to see a view of some of the additional filters available to you on the shopping page. One thing to keep in mind here, all available carriers are going to be listed on the shopping page. That's a CMS requirement. It's not only going to show you carriers that you're appointed with. So if you update your carrier settings and then you come in here and you see Ambetter listed, but you're not appointed there, don't worry, that's just a CMS requirement that we still show their policies. You also have here usage carriers, HSA compatibility. Any questions here, you do have this nice view. Okay, on the next page is our plan details button. So if you were to click on the little plan details button here, it would give you just a bit more info about the plan. So you can choose the plan details option. The customer has this capability as well on their side. You can actually check out the benefits of the plan on a more high level. And there's also links to official documents from the carrier. So on the next slide, you can see what that view looks like. If you scroll down to the bottom of the plan details page, you'll actually notice there are some preventive care tabs. These are dynamic too. So depending on your client, you'll have a nice list of, services that are considered preventive available for each policy. I always found that kind of useful when speaking to a family versus a single person, right? On the next slide are compare plans. So let's say there are several plans that you'd like to check out. Jeff, you and I were talking about this earlier, right? So you can actually use this compare feature. You can compare up to 5 plans at a time here. Any carrier, any metal level, etc. And then once you hit compare, you'll get this little, on the next slide, side-by-side comparison view. So really handy tool to help your client make a decision that will be best suited to their needs. You can print this page also if you'd like. I know, Jeff, you and I were talking about in the PDF view. That might be a printer feature function, but that's something I can take back to engineering and see if we have any other requests we can put in to maybe get that version available.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the suggestion. And then let's say your client just isn't with you or isn't ready to make a selection just yet. You also have the option to select the send to client button, still back on that side-by-side view. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, up on the right-hand side, you could also just send it to them.
Right here. Yeah. And this is what you get.
Exactly. This is great too. They'll just receive an email. It's got their link. It'll bring them right back to that compare page where you've selected plans. They can pick the plan or they can adjust the plans on their own. Even if you've sent them the compare page, they would just select the back button. It would still keep everything you've done there. Your NPN would remain. They would just be able to view other plans if they want to. And on the next page, plan selection. Back on that shopping page, you would just select a plan by clicking add to cart. You can also add dental if you'd like, we talked about. You would just select continue to shopping and then move over to the dental tab and hit add to cart on one of those plans. Once you've done all that, on the next page, you will see your confirmed plan. So this is one thing I did want to talk about here. So this is going to show you obviously which plans you've selected along with their premiums. But down below here, you're going to see the full amount of subsidy dollars. If the client doesn't want to use all of these, you would just uncheck the little box next to I want to apply all of my savings. And you could just key in whatever the amount the customer does want to use. You'll also notice that the Mpn Override feature is on this page. We'll discuss that momentarily. And then on the next slide, the plan just processes. So you would be able to just enroll in the plans. You would wait for a minute and then you would get on the next slide a little confirmation page. And voila, you would be able to pay premiums, see follow-up tasks might be needed, and you could return to your dashboard where your client would now be located in your clients tab instead of your leads tab. One quick call out on the next slide. If you did need to pursue split policies for a customer, that's a new feature that we have now. You would be able to start that flow once you have completed the subsidy application prior to landing on that shopping page. You'll see a little option under download eligibility letter that now allows you to shop multiple plans.
And why would somebody do that? In Cincinnati, you have a great example. Children's Hospital is only covered by one carrier. And so you might be able to, put the children on, that specific plan that covers Children's Hospital, but the adults, they want to go to like Christ Hospital, and you would select the carriers that address that. So, that's a great example. We hear that all the time.
Sure. Great call out, Jeff. And then the other feature we wanted to talk about here on the next slide is our Mpn Override. So Mpn Override actually allows a downline agent to write with another NPN. Although the writing agent must still be licensed in the state. Again, always you have to be licensed, right? You'll want to ensure that your carrier settings, again, those licenses and appointments, are all up to date. But to set this up, the agency admin, so Jeff, would need to go into the agency tab, and they could just allow downline agents to use this feature. So on the next slide, if it's not a referral, if you're using the Npn Override feature, you would just select the appropriate NPN using the drop-down menu on that confirmation page. So this is kind of what it would look like there for you. And on the next slide, if it is a referral, maybe you're not going to use the Npn Override feature on this specific application. You'd select the little checkbox at the top and the app would just be submitted as a referral. So that's how that would look. The reason this is helpful is sometimes within an agency, maybe Joan is appointed with Ambetter, Jose is appointed with Cigna. And perhaps their commission payments are greater than the referral payments, right? So if we can submit them with the other NPN, we're legally allowed to do that. CMS is totally on board, as long as both are licensed in Ohio, right? And then on the next slide, we'll breeze through these pretty quickly, just so you have an awareness. The client self-enrollment flow. So on the next page, the quoter, this is what the client's going to see on their side prior to starting an application. So this is the landing page they see when they select your little direct marketing link. They'll simply key in their info here. As long as they include either their phone number or email, this is automatically going to generate a lead onto your dashboard, which is great. So you always have ways to follow up. On the next slide, you'll see who needs coverage. This starts to look pretty familiar, so we can breeze through these. The next slide is household info. Slightly different layout, same information captured. The next slide is income. They'll enter in their income. The next slide, they'll receive their subsidy estimate. And then on the following slide, they can select their SEP if it's SEP season. And then on the next one, they'll still be able to add their providers and medications, just like you. And then on the next page, they'll land on the shopping page where they can use all the same filters you have. They can shop, they can add a plan to their cart. On the next slide, they'll be able to still view that plan details page if they want. And on the next slide, they can save their progress. The agent and the client application experiences are the same. So you don't have to wonder what they might be seeing on their side in that section. Occasionally, some additional verify your identity type questions will appear for them prior to the actual application, but other than that, it's the same. That's it. So lastly, we just need to talk about some resources here quickly. In the top right corner of your dashboard, you'll remember we saw that little circle with the question mark inside. So you'll want to hover over that and you'll see several options. The what's new in the presentation of our product. I personally really like that page. It's a nice little summary article and we keep it up to date weekly. How to get started with some recap videos at the Help Center, which is basically a list of frequently asked questions that you can just filter by searching. So if I wanted to look up the export legend, I would just type in export legend and it would pull it up for me. Also a helpful tip related to this topic, make sure you keep an eye out for us in your inbox as well. We send out some newsletters sometimes highlighting new product features. But lastly, let's talk about contacting agent support. So on the next slide, you'll notice if you ever have questions about a particular feature or you need to report a technical issue, you can always call us. You can send us an email, you can chat with us directly from your dashboard. Our hours are typically extended during OEP, but you can always see our current hours just by visiting your dashboard or by scrolling to the bottom of our main HealthSherpa website. Our hours of operation, our contact information, they're always listed right on the main page if you need. So you can see there are a ton of really awesome benefits to using HealthSherpa platform. You can finish apps in an average of 8 minutes. You can see the statuses, information, forms, all your ACA clients all in one place. Those renewal apps are pre-filled. You can get, referral payment bonuses, associate referral payment bonuses. Super easy, really user-friendly. The list obviously goes on. So a couple reminders, just make sure and update your appointments on that carrier page and confirm that your Ffm ID and Mpn are accurately listed. If you want to participate in any of those bonus programs, just make sure you go ahead and decide now, and that way you can get those set up prior to the launching of OEP. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining the HealthSherpa, for letting me join, I should say, your training today. So again, I'm Amber Dotson with HealthSherpa. If you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to agent support. We're here to help however we can. If there are any, let me check our questions. And
let's dive into some questions. Amber, we've got a
Yeah.
few questions now, and just keep thinking of new things to ask, and we'll address those right now. How does it work if we have carriers we are appointed with outside of Cornerstone because of carrier requirement, not my choice? Can we still see and write and be paid via HealthSherpa? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is not a Cornerstone platform per se. This is a universal platform. And Amber, can you speak to that a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. So of course, we always encourage you to work with your agency directly. But if there are certain carrier specific, we call them white label accounts, where the carrier just kind of maybe requires exclusivity, you could just set up a separate HealthSherpa account to handle those separately. But yes, you're allowed to have multiple accounts. We just always encourage you to go through your agency.
Well, yeah, and the other thing that I want to point out, you get paid by the carrier. So, you know, this is just an enrollment platform. You still get paid, you know, if it's the carrier that, you know, we don't handle, you know, like it's MedMutual or somebody, you can still use this platform that we set up, Eric and I set up, and sell your MedMutual through here. You'll still get paid by MedMutual. Okay, so this is, you know, HealthSherpa, we have no ownership of HealthSherpa or anything. This is just a tool that I found out there, having experienced about, you know, 3 or 4 other tools. This is the best in breed, and this is the one that, you know, that I kind of like. And but your relationship with that carrier remains the same. We don't have any impact on that. So some more questions. Here's a very good question, Amber, and I'm glad Steve brought this up. Will the Kentucky marketplace options be available in 2022 on HealthSherpa?
Great question. Oh my gosh, I love that you just mentioned that actually. So yes and no. So the Kentucky state-based, all state-based exchanges, you're able to quote on HealthSherpa. It doesn't matter where the state-based exchange is. You can definitely quote them, do the plan comparison, etc. As far as Connect goes, if you are going to submit an application with Ambetter, we're going to use the double redirect process, meaning you can do your shopping on HealthSherpa, then we're going to bop you over to Connect to actually process the subsidy eligibility, and then the application is going to return to HealthSherpa. For any other carriers as of today, you would bop over to Connect to process the eligibility, and then the application will process at the carrier level. So you would not be bopped back over to HealthSherpa. So any questions on that? You want me to say that one more time?
Yeah, if you wouldn't remind, just so in a global sense, in Kentucky, there's Anthem, CareSource, Molina, and Ambetter. So there's 4 players now in the market. And can you reiterate that? How you work one way with Ambetter, and then how's it going to work with, let's say, Anthem?
Correct. So any state-based marketplace, you can do shopping and quoting and just eligibility estimates, plan selection, that kind of thing, the plan comparison tool, all that stuff. You can do that on HealthSherpa for any state-based marketplace. For the actual application, if you're going to do an application for Ambetter, you would go ahead and choose, you know, add to cart and let's start your application. It's going to bop you over to Connect to actually process your subsidy eligibility application. And then it'll bop you back to HealthSherpa to finalize the application for Ambetter specifically. For the other carriers, CareSource, Anthem, etc., it's going to bop you, HealthSherpa will bop you over to Connect to do that eligibility processing. And then it'll actually push you to the carrier's website, CareSource, Anthem, etc., to select the policy and finalize the application.
From my understanding, though, and just want to jump in here, Molina and CareSource, they use HealthSherpa for the enrollments.
So for quoting, we are only, for Connect specifically, we can absolutely quote those on HealthSherpa, but for the actual application process, the only one we're able to support as of today is Ambetter.
Okay, so
now that could change.
And Connect has their own enrollment method, so that's probably what the end result will be, is you'll have to just work through the Connect to complete your CareSource or your Molina or your
that's accurate. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we can all agree, and everybody on the call can, you know, we commiserate. we would much rather have HealthSherpa than the new Connect program. But again, we'll just forge ahead and do the best we can. And by all means, if you have any questions about the Connect situation, just give me a call and we'll work through it. So the next question, what is, okay, go ahead.
Especially if you're going to start on HealthSherpa and you can do your quoting and everything, at least you can still use a lot of those effectuation tools within HealthSherpa. You're going to have to manually update them, but you can at least keep track of, you know, whether John Snow submitted an application for CareSource or Anthem or whatever, which plan they selected or whatever you'd like to do there. That way, when you are working through those clients, you can still use HealthSherpa as kind of more of a CRM in that way if you'd like.
Wow, fantastic. So the next question is, what is the Cornerstone join code? EC28. Eric's nodding his head. EC28. So Eric's also on this call, and he's the one that sets up HealthSherpa. So EC28.
EC28.
Next question. Okay, we've got some more questions coming in, so hang in there. So it makes you have multiple HealthSherpa accounts and logins, or all one login? That's a great question, Shelley. So we can unify all your HealthSherpa accounts, and Eric can work with you on that. It just so happens to matter that some of the carriers, you know, like Molina, when they onboard you, they automatically set up like a very proprietary HealthSherpa account for you. And in reality, that doesn't work because you want to be able to shop multiple carriers with your one login on HealthSherpa. So we can fix that for you. Okay, follow up to that. For example, I have everyone through Cornerstone except CareSource, Paramount. I can't remember if that mutual lets me under Cornerstone or not. Would I have separate logins for those? No, we can unify them all on HealthSherpa. It's just some magic that Eric applies to it and unifies your account all in one login. So a couple more minutes for additional questions. And by all means, if you have any more issues, you can reach out to me and we'll work through them. And I do want to, you know, can you rattle off that phone number again for the HealthSherpa support? The 888 number, I think it's 888-684.
Oh gosh, absolutely. So it is 888, let me grab it real quick. It's going to be 888-684-1373.
1373, fantastic. Okay, great.
And one quick note too, yes, all of the HealthSherpa accounts can definitely be kind of combined into one. We always encourage you just to go through your agency. If there's a specific carrier that your agency doesn't work with, as long as you have it all updated in your carrier settings, it's okay. It'll all still work the same way on your platform. So it'll all kind of be handled on the back end for you. So always just work back with your agency if you have any questions about that, or reach out directly to agent support, and we can always help.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So with that, we'll conclude the presentation. Any final thoughts, Amber?
No, thank you guys so much for all the awesome questions. If you think of anything down the road, shoot them over to Jeff. I'm happy to get them answered for you, or feel free to contact agent support.
Great, fantastic. Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.